Welcome to the 7th episode of the Butler Collegian DAWGCAST, a series for Butler students by Butler students. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. My name is Kayla Campbell, Multimedia Reporter and guest host of DAWGCAST. There is a lot to cover this episode. We will learn about club soccer, campus events, sports, and more, all here with the Butler Collegian. For our first news story, Butler is launching a new collaborative approach to professional education dubbed Butler Plus. Its goal is to guide and empower individuals to continue their career while also building a network at the local, regional, and national levels. Butler Plus features more than 25 competitive degree options, 100 custom programs, and more. It aims to become the new centralized hub for all online, graduate, and professional education programs at Butler. Check out the Butler Collegian's news story for more information. We will also be learning about another news story later on. Much has happened this week in Butler athletics, especially with spring sports ramping up. And to tell us all about it is multimedia reporter Aaron Rhodes, who will be giving us the latest update in sports. It's the Butler Collegian Sports Report. Sending it to you, Aaron.
Welcome back to your Butler Collegian Sports Report. I'm Multimedia Reporter Aaron Rhodes. Let's kick things off with recapping the men's basketball team a little bit. The men's basketball team is having a rough go of it as of late. They are now losers of 4 of their last 5. Sloppy play on both ends of the court and awful second half effort has led to these last few losses. In their most recent game, the Dogs lose to Seton Hall 76-64 and dropped to 16-12 on the season and 7-9 in conference play. They are back in action on February 28th at home against St. John's. The Bulldogs women's basketball team has currently picked it up as of late, however. This past week, the team played 2 games against Xavier and Georgetown. The ladies would beat Xavier for their 4th straight win due to amazing shooting as they shot 53% from the field. The ladies would win with a final score of 84-46. On February 24th, the ladies team would travel to Georgetown. They had a rough go of it in this one, sadly, as the primary scorer, Caroline Strand, would shoot 3 for 17 from the field. The Bulldogs went into halftime tied, but would eventually fall due to sloppy second half performance. The final score would be 65-63 to Georgetown. For the baseball team, they have started their season 3-2. They just completed a sweep against Alabama A&M this past weekend down in Huntsville, Alabama. They will be back in action on February 27th at Southern Illinois. The men's and women's tennis teams. The men's tennis team is 3-11 on the season, unfortunately. They have lost their last 4 matches. The team dropped their most recent match to Denver 7-0. The team's next match is on March 2nd against Southern Indiana at the Butler. The women's tennis team is currently 8-5 and will be traveling to Dayton, Ohio on March 2nd for their next match. The softball team, the ladies team, dropped their most recent game against Bellarmine 5-1. After no runs being scored in the first inning, Bellarmine would go on to score 5 off of pitcher Rylan Dyer and force the Dogs to change pitchers. The Bulldogs are now 7-8 and they are back in action on March 1st against Marshall. Thank you for tuning in to the Butler Collegian Sports Report. I'm Multimedia Reporter Aaron Rhodes. Back to you, Kayla.
Thanks, Aaron. And again, you can stay up to date with Butler athletics by looking at the Butler Collegian Sports section or the Multimedia section. It is on the Butler Collegian's website, or you can check it out on the YouTube channel. For our next segment, we have Club Chat, where we get to know some of the clubs and organizations here on campus. For this episode, multimedia reporter Allie Moulton sat down with Jordan Lee Karachi, president of the Women's Soccer Club, to learn more about her and their club.
Thank you so much, Kayla. This is Allie Moulton for the Butler Collegian with Club Chat, and I'm here with the president of Butler Women's Club Soccer, Jordan Lee Karachi. Thank you so much for being here, Jordan.
Of course, anytime.
All right, my first question for you is, how long have you been playing soccer?
I've been playing since 2nd grade, maybe a little earlier, so I don't know, 10 plus years I would say now going on.
Awesome, and what is your position?
I play outside forward, sometimes center forward. I bleed club soccer. We've become a family, so every day that we have practice, it's always something I must do because of the fact that I can see all of my favorite people. I see them on campus, and we just do so many things outside of club soccer that it's just so exciting whenever we get to do soccer.
What would you say to anyone thinking about trying out for the 2024 season?
You have nothing to lose. Why not? It's a fun sport if you play soccer. If you don't play soccer, try out. You would get to meet people through tryouts. You get to meet people on a team. There's no harm in trying. Someone I look up to is Anna Childers. She's been my day one since my freshman year. She kind of took me under her wing, so having her through club soccer and now being in her same sorority, it's kind of been like a mom-daughter moment. She's there when I need her, when I'm crying, when I'm laughing. So for our actual season, we have 2 to 3 practices a week. We'll coordinate with everybody on the team to see what works so that at least everybody can go to at least 2. We have 10 to 12 games over the weekend. We try to split it 5 or 6 home, 5 or 6 away, just so we don't have to travel all the time. It's kind of a burden every once in a while, but it is a good team bonding experience. 2021, I think we got Team of the Year, which was pretty cool, pretty awesome. And then we went to nationals that year. We've been able to go. We weren't able to go last year because of injuries, and then this year we didn't go. But we went my freshman year to Alabama to play nationals. Didn't do the best, but it's a great team experience.
Thank you so much, Jordan, and back to you, Kayla.
Again, thank you, Allie and Women's Club Soccer, for giving us some insight on their club. You can find them on social media at Butler Women's Club Soccer. Now, let's get into our next news story. It is election season for the Butler University Student Government Association. The presidential and senatorial candidates have been announced, and they have started campaigning as of Saturday. Let's get to know all of the candidates. When Sadia and Rai were asked about their campaign, here's what they had to say.
Part of the Katri Singh campaign's goal is to bring SGA to the students. We're focused on sincerity and sensibility, and we want to provide campus with the resources that we know SGA is able to provide. Our goal is to make campus more connected and more integrated.
One major platform of our campaign is increased transparency with our student body. Both of us, we care about progression on campus, whether it be with our student orgs or with our athletes. We care about giving the right resources and making resources available for our student body to utilize, because creatively, our student orgs is what drives campus, and we only want to support that.
Yeah, a lot of students on campus also aren't super aware of what SGA does and what goes on with SGA. It's really important that students recognize that this big legislative body is representing them, and it's important that they understand what goes on in SGA, and at the very least just understand how it's structured and how it functions.
And I believe with an increased amount of transparency and also connecting with student orgs and just general student body in general, I believe we could bridge that gap that's currently in between the students and student government.
The other candidates include Sydney Hayworth and Gracie Walls, running for president and vice president, respectively. Their campaign involves 3 pillars that focus on transparency, passion, and results. They believe Butler students should have full knowledge of all the workings of SGA, are enthusiastic for the contributions and impacts that are yet to be made, and want students to see the change of community they plan to create. I was unable to meet with Sydney and Gracie for this episode, but their campaign and information can be found on Instagram at Sydney Gracie SGA. Sadia and Rai's campaign can also be found on Instagram at Katri Singh for SGA. The presidential debate will occur on February 28th, the senatorial social on February 29th, and Election Day is on March 5th. For more information on the candidates, check out the Butler Collegian's news story. There are many events and activities occurring this week here on campus, and Multimedia Reporter Eliza West shares the top 3 things you need to know.
Thanks, Kayla. It's another busy week around campus. Stop by the Center of Faith and Vocation on Thursday the 29th at 6 to hear a presentation from the Jewish Community Center. The JCC will be holding a presentation about how they foster community in Indianapolis. You can knock out one of your BCR credits, and there's free food. Make sure to stop by the Schrott Center for the Arts on Friday, March 1st for the Butler University Choir's performance. Along with it being a BCR, it's also free. And if you can't make it, there's a live stream on the Flyrail. There's more music going on this weekend in Schrott. Stop by Schrott on Sunday at 2:45 to see the Butler Wind Ensemble. Like the choir performance, it also counts for a VCR, and it's also free. For the Butler Collegian, I'm Eliza West. Back to Kayla with more news.
Thank you, Eliza, for the insight on this week's events. The weather has been quite inconsistent, but we can look forward to some warmer temperatures. Let's look at this week's forecast. The lowest it will be is 44 degrees and the highest being 69. You can expect it to be partly cloudy with some days of rain. Well, that concludes the 7th episode of DAWGCAST. Thank you so much for listening or watching. Again, you can find this series on Spotify and YouTube currently. Again, check out the Butler Collegian this week for all things sports, news, opinion, culture, and multimedia. This has been your guest host, Multimedia Reporter Kayla Campbell. Have a great day, dogs.